For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
There are secrets that George W. Bush guards at least as carefully as any entrusted to a president. Secrets he's forbidden to share even with the vice president. Secrets he's held ever since his days at Yale, where in his senior year, like his father and his grandfather, he belonged to Skull and Bones, the elite secret society whose members include some of the most powerful men of the 20th century. All bonesmen, as they're called, are forbidden to reveal what goes on in their inner sanctum, the windowless building on the Yale campus called the Tomb. Until an enterprising Yale graduate, Alexandra Robbins, managed to penetrate the wall of silence for a book she called Secrets of the Tomb.
I spoke with about 100 members of Skull and Bones, and they were members who were tired of the secrecy, and that's why they were willing to talk to me. But probably twice that number hung up on me, harassed me, or threatened me. Skull and Bones is so tiny, that's what makes this staggering.
15 people
there are only
a year.
15 people a year, which means there are about 800 living members at any one time.
We know that a lot of bonesmen have gone on to positions of great power.
That's what Skull and Bones' purpose is, to get as many members as possible into positions of power.
Though there is this mythology about Skull and Bones pulling the strings of government. You're saying the fact is Skull and Bones are pulling the strings of government.
They do have many individuals in influential positions, and that's why this is something that we need to know about.
President Bush has tapped 5 fellow bonesmen to join his administration. Most recently, the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, William Donaldson, Skull and Bones, 1953. Like the president, he's taken the Bones oath of omerta, silence.
I don't believe that people who represent our country, especially the President of the United States, should be allowed to have an allegiance to a secret organization.
Ron Rosenbaum, author and columnist for the New York Observer, has become obsessed with cracking that code of secrecy.
I think there is a deep and legitimate distrust in America for power and privilege that are cloaked in secrecy. It's not supposed to be the way we do things. We're supposed to do things out in the open in America. And so that any society or institution that hints that there's something hidden is, I think, a legitimate subject for investigation.
His is a 30-year obsession dating back to his days as a Yale classmate of George W. Bush. Rosenbaum, a self-described undergraduate nerd, was certainly not a contender for Bones, but he was fascinated by its weirdness.
It's this sepulchral, tomb-like, windowless, granite sandstone bulk that you can't miss. And I lived next to it. I had passed it all the time. And during the initiation rites, you could hear strange cries and whispers coming from the Skull and Bones.
Bones is not restricted to Republicans. Yet another bonesman has his eye on the Oval Office. Senator John Kerry, Democrat, Skull and Bones, 1966. As we speak, we have the very real possibility of the next presidential election pitting one bonesman, John Kerry, versus another bonesman, President Bush.
It is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, again, all the people say, oh, these societies don't matter, or the Eastern establishment is in decline, and you could not find 2 more quintessential Eastern establishment privileged guys. I remember when I was a nerdy scholarship student in the reserve book room at the Yale Library, and John Kerry, who at that point styled himself John F. Kerry, would walk in.
As in JFK.
At JFK, yes. There was always a little buzz, because even then he was seen to be destined for higher things. He was the head of the Yale Political Union, and a tap for Skull and Bones was seen as the natural sequel to that.
What you're hearing is the first recording ever made of the Skull and Bones initiation ceremony. It has never been broadcast before. 15 new members of the club are being introduced into the macabre rituals of Skull and Bones by the senior students who are about to graduate. The club has what some might see as a strange fascination with death, skulls and bones. There's the chants too, difficult to hear first of all, but including the devil equals death and death equals death.
There's also an obsession with death and its trappings.
The preoccupation with bones, mortality, with coffins, lying in coffins, standing around coffins, all this sort of thing, I think, is designed to give them the sense that, and it's very true, life is short. You can spend it, if you have a privileged background, enjoying yourself, contributing nothing. It imbues them with a kind of mission for moral leadership, and it's something that they may ignore for 30 years of their life, as George W. Bush seemed to successfully ignore it for quite a long time.
He's come pretty close. She was part of a team that successfully recorded part of the initiation ceremony that takes place in the Tombs courtyard.
Okay, you have the doorway here.
Yeah.
Okay, then to the right you have a hedge, and then
Yeah.
you have an evergreen tree. If you follow that line straight back, courtyard's in there.
Ah, okay.
So
that's where they have the ceremonies in
the outdoor part of it was indoors. So we only got to see the outdoor part.
Right.
We only got to and to listen to the outdoor part. God only knows what went on indoors.
And what did you hear? What was it you know? You managed to get this unique
It was
access to it.
disgusting. It was gross. I mean, they were pretending to murder people.
What was the tone of it though? Was it jokey or was it
Vicious.
quite...
No, it wasn't jokey at all. It was sick. It's about the only way I can describe it. It was sick.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number
page.
322, 2.
Sir. Were you a member of Skull and Bones with Oz and Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
That's all right. Let me answer his question.
Whoa! Don't chase me! I can't do it! Ow! Ow!
Today our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature.
No copyright law in the universe is going to stop me!